Well, hey there, Mama, and welcome back to the Moms Overcoming Overwhelm podcast episode number 145. I'm Emily McDermott, and I'm here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. One of my BFFs in this simplifying and decluttering world is Sarah Horgan from Simple Intentional, and she has been on the podcast twice. I'm going to go ahead and link to her episodes in the show notes, but I was on her show talking about our chronotype. Maybe you've never heard of chronotype before, but our chronotype is our circadian rhythm personality, and understanding it and then leveraging it can really help us focus our tasks that require a lot of focus and energy into the times when we have our peak energy. And I've also done an episode on cycle syncing, which I will link in the show notes. All of these ways of understanding how our body works can really help us to feel less overwhelmed because we're able to do the tasks that require that energy and focus in hopefully those times where we have the highest energy. Unless, of course, we have to be working or parenting or some of the things where we don't really have a choice. But I hope that you really enjoy this conversation with Sarah. You can find out all about her in the show notes today. And so, what do you say? Grab that notebook and pen and let's dive into today's conversation with Sarah Horgan. Hey there, Mama. Are you tired of all the stuff crowding your home, calendar, and mind? Do you wish you could say goodbye to the endless to-do list running around in your head? Want to declutter but don't know where to start? You're in the right place. Welcome to Moms Overcoming Overwhelm, where you will find proven and practical solutions to declutter your home, head, and heart. Hi, I'm Emily, a wife, boy mom, and simplicity seeker. I struggled to get pregnant and felt overwhelmed until I discovered decluttering could create the physical and emotional space I needed to become a mom. Now, 2 kids later, I've transformed my life and motherhood by developing simple systems around decluttering, capsule wardrobes, kid stuff, cleaning and tidying, meal planning, time management, and more, and I can't wait to share them with you. If you're ready to reclaim the time and energy you crave, be present with your kids, and finally enjoy the life and motherhood you so deserve, let's kick overwhelm to the curb, shall we? Grab your lukewarm coffee, your notebook and pen, and clear off some counter space. Let's do this.
Hello, and welcome back to the Simple and Intentional podcast. This week's guest you might remember from one of my earlier episodes. In fact, she was the very first person I interviewed. So let me introduce my friend, Emily McDermott. She is a wife, mother of 2 energetic boys, and a simplicity seeker. She is also the host of the top 1.5% globally ranked podcast, Moms Overcoming Overwhelm, where she helps moms declutter their homes, heads, and hearts. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please do. There's lots of support there for making motherhood simpler. Emily also enjoys writing poetry, dancing, and eating peanut butter out of the jar. Welcome back, Emily. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. I'm so excited to be a return guest. I like the sound of that.
I know. Me too. So one of the things that you and I really have in common is that we're very organized and we love systems and routines. And I'm always looking for ways to organize and optimize my time, energy, and then create better systems as a mom. The more intentional my systems are, I find, the more I have time for the things that really matter to me. So I know you have some knowledge about chronotypes, which I had never heard about before. And then I got curious about it and I've been sort of learning and I did the quiz and everything. But I'm wondering if you could tell us what they are and explain the 4 different types.
Of course. Yes. Like you said, always looking for ways that we can maximize what I call our most precious resources. So time, energy, focus, attention, and energy is huge for us, especially for the community I serve of mostly moms. We always feel like we never have enough energy, especially when we have children that are very energetic.
Yes.
So I discovered this concept of chronotype couple of years ago. And I believe that the person who wrote the book, The Power of When, and it's Dr. Michael Bruce, he came up with the term. It's actually your circadian rhythm personality. So I've talked before, and I know you're going to be at some point talking to someone who talks about cycle syncing.
Yeah.
So that's more like a 26, 28 day, 30-day cycle that cycling women have. And that's helpful for energy mapping. But this is something that no matter who you are, as
Yes.
long as you are sleeping in some capacity, which I know the mamas with the newborns and the parents with the newborns are like, yeah, that's not happening. But
Yeah.
it is your circadian rhythm personality, which is sort of that 24-hour, cycle of when you have your peak energy and
Yeah.
productivity, and then also when that productivity and energy is lowest. And there are 4 chronotypes, and the names for them are actually animals, which I believe that Dr. Bruce thought were similar to the energy that it reflects. So I can kind of go through those. And there is a
Yeah.
quiz, which maybe you can link to in the show notes. And it's kind of interesting. I kind
Yeah.
of like these sort of personality, type of tests. They're just kind of fun, but
Yeah.
also you can use it as a tool to leverage for how you're planning your days. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
first are
I'll totally link that because I think you're right. It is fun. Like I did it leading up to this because I was like, "Oh, I've never heard of this. I'm so interested in it." And I'll share my type afterwards, but I think there was actually after you did the quiz there's also like a 15-minute video that really goes through,
yeah.
and I also found like he's outlined like optimal schedules and all kinds of stuff. So it's definitely worthwhile doing the quiz.
Yeah, I didn't realize that with the videos. So that's really cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. So the first is a lion. So a lion is your early risers. So if you're kind of getting up, 5, maybe 6 a.m.
Yeah.
But that is something where your most productive time is in the morning. So between like 8 and 12.
Mm.
And there's also some information about, the type of sleeper that you are and
Mm.
how that kind of correlates with it. And so the next one, kind of moving along sort of
Yeah.
the time of the day, is the bear. And so that is waking up more like 7-ish, and your productive times between like 10 and 2.
Mm.
And bears tend to be, if you think about a bear hibernating, tend to be more of those consistent, I guess, sleepers. For me, I'm a very deep sleeper.
Hmm.
Not much wakes me up. In college, I used to sleep through fire alarms.
Yeah. I'm like that too.
And so your, productivity time, like for me, if I'm getting to be like 2, 3 o'clock, that's really where my energy is dipping.
Yeah.
So that's something I have to keep in mind. And then you have your wolf, which is sort of more of like the night owls, but I guess he's using wolf there. You're kind of more getting up at sort of like 7:30, 8 o'clock. And then you have your productive time, like dinner time through the night. So like
Mhm.
5 p.m. to 12 a.m. And then the dolphins are not the ones that rest very easily or
Yeah.
frequently. And you kind of think, with a dolphin, very different than a bear. And so that wake up might be super early, but your productive time is between, according to this, like 3 and 9. So you
Oh,
can
wow.
really kind of use this for a variety of different things. But as far as being able to do planning for your day and your
Mm.
schedule and know when you need to do those high energy, high focus tasks, you
Yeah.
can kind of use this to leverage that in as much as you can to really see, first of all, what type you are, see if your energy is kind of peaking and dipping in alignment with this, and then use that to your
Yeah.
advantage when you're doing your planning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so awesome. I think it's really neat. Like, everybody likes to find out a little more about themselves. And it's interesting because when I went through it, I'm a bear, although I do feel like I'm an early bear. And that, interestingly, I wonder if that has to do with my work schedule or not. But, anyways, my morning early riser, I'm productive then, but it also sort of outlined like, personality traits and that sort of thing, which I thought was really interesting because it did really, really line up. And the other thing he said was the bear, most people are bears. So we're actually lucky because the world is sort of structured around us. Whereas the dolphin it's hard to be a dolphin. And it would also be hard to be a wolf because
Yeah.
the world isn't necessarily structured around what works best for you. And then the lions are generally the ones who are like most celebrated because they get up early. So it's interesting how societally we've kind of like tagged things onto when, there's not one that's better than the other. It's just probably there's more challenges that are related with some of them based on how the world works.
Yeah. And I think that parenting definitely throws a wrench into all of it.
Yeah.
Like it frequently does about most things, but it just is, you could be, that wolf, but then you have that baby that's getting up at like 3, 4 in the morning or 5:30, bounding into your room, ready to go. And so it's a little bit dictated by your work schedule or the schedule of your family. And it is hard because I was even noticing for myself in a previous season, I was getting up before my kids woke up, doing my morning routine, working out and everything. And then I was experiencing all of this irritability and emotional things going on. And I had the opportunity recently when my husband was off work for 3 weeks to just sleep in and just allow myself to sleep in, meaning like 7:30.
Yeah.
I felt like a new person, like an absolute new person.
Yeah.
And I was, wow, maybe I was kind of thinking that I was a lion. But I'm actually a bear, and that's helping with my emotional regulation, how I show up as a mom, how I show up just in my day. And so that's been really eye-opening to me to be like, wow, well, maybe I just need sleep and I need to be able to shift things slightly instead of being like, I must be the most productive person on earth before my children wake up. Like that wasn't sustainable for me, but I didn't realize it until I had kind of that shift in schedule that allowed me to really see what my body was telling me and to have that awareness. So that was very interesting for me too.
Yeah, that is so interesting because it's funny, like, I was thinking this morning as I was just sort of reviewing these questions and just thinking about this a little bit. And I had gotten up early to, be on my own and have some focus time. And my daughter came and wanted to be with me. And I was thinking about it, it would be so easy to do all these things if I wasn't a mom, because we have this demand. And it was like, I think Julianne Moore, I think that's who she said, it's not hard to be a parent. It's just hard to do anything else and be a parent.
I love that.
I think it's true. But there is that, there is that gift of having this sort of outside boundary, pressure, whatever word you want to use, to help you get better with your time. And so, discovering what your chronotype is and then trying to line up those things. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that. Like, how can you use this knowledge to use your time better, and to line it up with the certain tasks, and maybe some of the benefits.
Yeah. And even before I learned about the concept of chronotypes, I had kind of learned about energy mapping, which is more kind of like a time audit, but you're kind of auditing your energy throughout the day and in different tasks that you're doing. And it can actually be, if it depends your personality, if you want to do like color coding or something and just kind of be like, okay, set a reminder on my phone that every maybe 2 hours I'm having an alarm go off, and just asking yourself, like, what is my energy level like right now? And what am I doing? And so you're able to kind of do that energy audit, so to speak. But then mapping is more when you're understanding, okay, this is when I feel like I'm having these peaks and dips. And then I do the quiz and I kind of look at the chronotype and whether that's lining up. And you want to, in as much as you can, do those high energy, high priority, high focus tasks when you have that most productive time. And so you and I help a lot of women, especially with decluttering.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I have always struggled with is that I'm, leading these decluttering challenges, but I was leaving it to when my kids were, after they went to bed, when I have zero energy.
Yeah.
I want to do nothing. And even if it is just like a 15-minute thing, the mental hurdle I feel like I have to get over to
Oh,
just
yeah.
like start is a lot tougher. And so I was thinking, okay, what's a way that I can incorporate decluttering earlier in my day?
Yeah.
And I know what you teach and talk to a lot is making it part of your daily routine and when you're
Yeah.
doing things anyway.
Yeah.
And can I just sort of still be doing that, but doing it when I have more of that peak energy time?
Yeah.
Now, you can do that in as much as you can, meaning that you're going to have work, you're going to have kids' activities, you're going to have things that you come up against. Maybe you're a nurse and you're having to work the night shift for a couple months,
Yeah.
and it's very going against your chronotype and your energy levels. You just really do what you can.
Yeah.
Kind of, again, you talk so frequently, Sarah, about priorities and being able to look at that. You're eating the frog for the day and you
Yeah.
know what's that frog. And so maybe you just get to that frog and you don't get the three other priorities.
Yeah.
But then it's like, well, this is a season. I know that this is something that is going to be changing, but also recognizing I talk so frequently about capacity. You need to know that if you're
Mhm.
working against your chronotype in kind of any way, shape, or form, or even if you're doing cycle syncing and
Yeah.
that kind of thing, you're at a decreased capacity. So
Yeah.
you need to, if you were setting boundaries before, if you were trying to say no before, you need to ramp that up a bit to
Yeah.
really protect the limited energy that you have because it's less than what you would normally have. So I think the recognition of that and then
Mhm.
being able to say no more frequently. Because if you are at decreased energy and capacity, and then you're also saying yes to everything,
Yeah.
you're going to get burnout incredibly quickly. So that's what I would recommend because we can't always do things when we would like to do them
Yeah.
in alignment with our highest energy levels. It's just not feasible or practical, right?
Yeah, I love that. I think it's the mindset part of that is so important because I don't know if anybody else has these like groups on Instagram or whatever where you like have friends and you like send funny memes back and forth to each other, but like, you never talk to each other. I think there's even like a meme about that. But anyways, there was one I sent to my friend the other day that was something about how every month I get really emotional and tired and I can't understand why I hate everybody. And then I get my period. And it's funny because I think like the mindset piece that goes along with that really is like, we can take this knowledge about our chronotype, about our energy levels, and then we can remind ourselves when we're in that place of low energy or we're not feeling particularly productive that like, hey, this is how my body is. This is, a dip right now. I'm going to have a more productive time. It's like giving yourself permission for the rest, giving yourself permission to not be performing the same all the time. Because I know a lot of women struggle with that. And we can be so hard on ourselves when we're not able to, or like you said, you save these tasks for when you're not with your kids or they're not around. And then it's not a great time for you energy wise, or your focus is gone. And I honestly do that so often. And I think this summer has been a really good reminder for me about how we can pull ourselves out of the moment and really think about like, oh, I'm going to do that then, but honestly, when you have the energy or you're feeling good, just do it and get it done because you could save it for 8 p.m. when your kids are asleep, but it's going to take you an hour and a half. Whereas if you did it during your peak time, it's going to take you 20 minutes because your focus is just gone, you're fatigued, all of that stuff. So this is like really, really valuable knowledge. I really
Yeah.
believe. Okay. So when it comes to, like those optimal time windows, like what kind of tasks do you think that people should structure during those times? Like what are some common
Mm.
things that people can really kind of get the most out of their optimal time?
Yeah. Oh, that's a great question because it's something that once you have that self-awareness, then it's like, okay, so what am I going to do with it? I would say a combination probably of planning and then also execution of
Mm,
a different sort of task. And it kind of depends because you have energy is very closely tied to focus, as you were
Mm,
mentioning. And so there are certain things that require more physical energy, but not a ton of focus, like cleaning, for
yeah.
example, tidying, vacuuming.
Yeah.
For me, it's more like physical, but requiring more energy that I definitely don't want to do at like 8 p.m.
Yes.
But then there's also some of the like focus type of tasks, which might be more of like your reflection, writing, journaling, meal
Yeah.
planning. And so I think depending on, for most of these, I think the peak times are approximately like 4 hours. And
Yeah.
just kind of knowing if you're kind of doing a time blocking type of system, you
Yeah.
could look at that 4 hours and say, okay, I know that I will be doing the best planning at this time, and also the best energy for some of these physical things I need to do, like
Yeah.
running errands, even going on a walk, that kind of thing. And so, based upon your priorities for that day or that week, I would probably just try to time block maybe 2 to 3 different types of activities in that peak time.
Yeah.
That's a combination of that planning and execution, because that's going to kind of look different for everyone. But then, another thing, for example, is Kendra Adachi, who has the Lazy Genius podcast. She has
Yeah.
the magic question: what can I do today to make things easier later?
Yeah.
And so if you think from like a meal planning, you can tell I'm like struggling with meal
Yeah.
planning. I keep talking about it all the
Oh,
time.
me too. Yeah.
But like the crock pot concept, like when I have the energy between, 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. or 10 a.m. and 2 p.m.,
Yeah.
I can put everything into the crock pot, because I do not want to be having to make the meal at 5:30 when I don't have the energy. And
Hmm.
so you're kind of helping your future self by recognizing, I'm going to do the task that requires that energy so I don't have to do it later on. So
Yeah.
another kind of flip way, I'm just kind of thinking at this out loud, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like, what are the things that I have been doing in my non-peak times that
Yeah.
are really a struggle?
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
that's cooking, maybe that's decluttering, maybe that's cleaning. It could be a variety of things. And how can I shift that to my productive time
Yeah.
so that I can use that time most effectively and not have to do that in the evenings
Yeah.
or whatever your chronotype is. So I think that might be sort of the flip side of it, is doing an audit of like, what am I doing that I could shift? So I think that
Yeah.
might be helpful.
Yeah, I really like that, because I think the same, like meals, summer Sarah and fall Sarah are two different people. I've learned. So summer Sarah is just rolling with the snacks, and that's fine. But fall Sarah is going to chop vegetables earlier in the day. I might even spend the weekend chopping up things, putting them in containers in the fridge, setting the crock pot, doing those kind of things, because the same as you, like the earlier in the day, I could do a million things in that 4 hour window, and it doesn't feel like a struggle to me. Whereas if you ask me to do anything after 4 p.m., it's hard. I'm mush, and I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I'm feeling tired. And so I think, taking that, again, that chronotype knowledge, and just saying like, okay, you can't fight against this, like you can do things to optimize your energy, like exercise, getting a good night's sleep, eating nourishing food. So certainly do those things, because those self-care things matter. But you can't really fight the sort of natural rhythms of your body. So figuring out all those things for meals, or whatever your pain point is, like, I think honestly, I don't mind laundry, but I think at every point, these sort of repetitive tasks are a pain point for everybody at some time, like they're just things we have to keep doing and keep doing. So it's just figuring out like, what's the system? How can I optimize this? That's going to make it easier for me, and for,
Mhm.
everybody else around me.
Yeah. I wanted to mention one thing that just came to mind when you're recognizing your chronotype and recognizing when you have those peaks and dips. If you're having a dip in energy and it's like for me, let's say it's like 3 p.m., I
Yeah.
sort of have two choices as far as how I can think about that. I can
Mm,
think in a very like, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you so tired? You have to
yeah.
do all of these things. You better have, your caffeine and just push through.
Yeah.
Or it can be recognizing, like, oh, this is why I'm feeling this way. I have the opportunity to rest. I have the opportunity to do something a little maybe simpler for dinner.
Yeah.
It's okay. And you don't have to be kind of like pushing against your nature and making
Yeah.
yourself feel bad about it. Or again, you're talking about health, kind of disrupting things by having a ton of caffeine or
Yeah.
doing whatever is going to kind of like push you through. Because I mean, it's funny, I'm super sensitive to caffeine. I had a Red Bull like once in my life, or like a Monster energy drink, and we were moving furniture and I was like picking up mattresses. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's do this. Meanwhile, my heart's like beating out of my chest.
Yeah.
So I don't do any of those types of things. But if
Mm-mm.
you're finding yourself constantly having to reach for that coffee crutch to kind of get you
Yeah.
through, then maybe it's more self-awareness. Like, this is not serving me. I just need to work with my chronotype and with my body and
Yeah.
shift things so I'm not feeling this need to like go against myself.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. And I'm with you on that. I actually don't drink coffee and I drink black tea though, but I had a tiramisu once, which,
I do that too. I had it for
and I was
dessert and
like
I
up
couldn't
all
sleep at
night.
night.
And I was like, what? I had no idea it affected me so much.
That
But
literally just happened to me. That's so funny.
oh yeah, I had no idea. I was like, wow, why can't I sleep? So it sort of affirmed, I just never really liked coffee, but it sort of affirmed to me that I'm not going to try. But yeah, I think that it's true. It's like that, take the nap kind of thing, because I say this to women I work with all the time when we do this planning stuff is like, you know, why fight against this time every single day that you struggle to get stuff done and whatever? Like, just take the nap. Don't take your phone out. Don't start scrolling. Don't do other things. Just actually close your eyes and rest, because it's incredible then how you're going to feel afterwards. And I don't know, it's so hard for us to do that, because we do have this sense that we should be able to do things all the time. Because I have the same mindset, I have that same thought sometimes, like, oh, why can't I do this? Or like, what's wrong with me that I'm tired all the time? And, even though I'm doing all the things, but then I can kind of step back and look at my life as a whole. And I'm like, well, it's very reasonable that I'm tired right now. And I'm actually going
Yes.
to close my eyes for 20 minutes. And it makes a really big difference.
Yeah, and that your phone, I've kind of recognized this recently, which we know, but we kind of forget that our phone is very stimulating.
Hmm.
So if you're thinking like, I'm overstimulated or
Yeah.
I'm very low on energy, I need to rest,
Yeah.
like rest and scrolling are two separate things, because that
Okay.
is just going to heighten your nervous system and getting, even like the dopamine and all of that.
Yeah.
So I'm really trying to, like, when I know I need to rest with no stimulation, like as much as
Yeah.
I can. So it's actually restorative for whatever amount of time that you
Hmm.
have. So then you can kind of move on, with the rest of your day, doing something
Yeah.
that's serving you rather than just escaping and then really kind of making the problem worse, I guess.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel good, right? Like I mean, really and truly, like it's not actually filling you up in any way. It's nice you see like things that inspire you or educate you or that sort of thing. But when you're actually going into this like place where you need rest, that's not even really the time to be educated or inspired necessarily. So yeah, closing our eyes, resting our body, like doing something where you can, I don't know, for me, like reduce the light, reduce the noise, those sort of things. They really do feel really good. So yeah, this was so helpful. I feel like people are really going to benefit. So I'm going to link the quiz in the notes
Yeah.
because I think people should do it. It's fun anyways, if anything. And you get so much information. I also found in there, he shared like actually the best times of day based on your type to have caffeine.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, it was interesting. I was like, oh, like for bears, I think it was like 10 a.m. Like it's in the productive window. It
Yeah.
was like, that's the time to have caffeine. So, we'll see.
Yeah. No, but don't have tiramisu at like 8 p.m.
I don't even know if I can handle it at all.
I don't think I can either.
I don't know what
It's so
happens
funny.
to.
Yeah, it was like 11 p.m. and my heart is like this. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why? Oh, okay. Espresso powder. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never had that before. This is what it does. So that's why people drink coffee. Like I thought I drank caffeine with my black tea, but I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Not the same
Same.
level. Yeah. Anyways, well, thank you so much. And Emily, could you share where people can find you if they're interested? Emily is a decluttering coach. She also helps people declutter. So if you're interested in that, or her Facebook group or podcast or
Yeah.
any of those things, if you could share, that would be great.
Of course, of course. Yeah, the best place would be my podcast, Mom's Overcoming Overwhelm. And in every episode, I link to my free Facebook group where we do bi-weekly decluttering challenges, and you can win free coaching or speaking of caffeine, gift card to go get the coffee or beverage of your choice.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's the best place to find me.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Emily. It was really great chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me again. It's always great chatting with you too.
Take care.
If you like today's podcast, here's what you can do. Just take 30 seconds to leave me a review. I know you're a busy mama. You're overwhelmed, in fact, but 30 seconds of your day makes such an impact. I'll be blessed by your words. They'll definitely make my day. And who knows, you might be entered for this month's giveaway. In Apple Podcasts, scroll down to write a review. Thanks so much for your time. I'm so grateful for you.